Hello everyone. In the previous videos, we integrated a couple of important APIs as part of our Google Suite project. So we used the Google Drive API and the Gmail API. In this video, we're going to take it one step further and integrate the Google Maps API as part of our agent, and which we made using Google's Agent Development Kit. So without further ado, let me walk you through what we will be seeing today. So this is our code base. I'm going to start with telling you about the setup that I used before we dive into the code changes that we made as compared to the previous video. So first off, we want to install the Google Maps library. I've put it in the requirements file. So whenever you do want to install this package along with the rest of them, if you're interested in the other projects as well, you simply have this readme file that tells you that you want to initialize your environment, which I already have. That is why I see this .venv. And after that, I have to activate my environment based on my operating system. And then I will simply install my libraries using this command. That's what I have to do. And you already know how to run the project. That's this command adk web. So we will be doing that once I walk you through the code changes. What I have to do for the setup though is a little different than what we did for Google Drive and Gmail. For Google Drive and Gmail, it was sort of an OAuth configuration where we had to set up our domain, which was the local host. We had to verify that, put it on the Google Cloud Console, and get a JSON file, use it to authenticate it by giving our email ID, like we usually do when we sign in using our Google account, and then we were authenticated. After which we were able to use the features under our email ID. This case is a little different. It's relatively simpler in that way. What you have to do, and I've already put some starting points for you in the README. For Maps API, you may need to set up a billing account. You will not need to pay anything, especially for this project. If you're starting out, it gives you a 91 days trial, and it gives you around 25,000 rupees worth of free credits. So you would not need to spend a single penny. I've just entered my credit card information. It deducted 2 rupees to verify my credit card, and that's about it. And just be safe that once you're done with this project, just remove all your keys, disable all the components of your project, and remove the project itself if you want, just to be safe, so that you are not charged unnecessarily. So what I did was I simply went to this link over here. I've already opened it. Here I have simply, this is Places API. So this is one of the APIs that Google Maps platform provides to us. All right. So you can also just use other APIs as part of the platform as well, and you may even need to. So if you just go over here, Google Maps platform, you can just see a bunch of different options given to you when you're trying to set up your project. Let's say you have all these things, just go to APIs and services, and you will see all these APIs that are available for you. So when I first set up the project, it gave me the options. I just selected all of them. So you will see a lot of these will be enabled by default, like the maps. There is Maps Embed API, some SDKs, Street View, Places API. This is something we will use in this video. So stay tuned if you want to see how that works. Geocoding is also something we will be using in this video. And that's basically what it has enabled for me. You can choose to enable what you want to enable. All right, even the directions API. This is also something we will be seeing in this video itself. All right, so this is what we are here with. So you can see the same thing on APIs and services, and you just go to the link like I gave you over here, get your API key, and you can get started. What you have to do after that is I simply put it in my environment file. Usually we put it in the .env file. This is what I've done. Since I can't show you my env file, I have the example file. The variable that I've kept, it is Google Maps API key, and I put the actual value in my .env file. All right, so that's basically it for the setup. Once you have the API key, once you have the library installed, you can go over to the code changes. Like using the same file as we did in the Google Drive and Gmail videos. So if you are not familiar with this setup, I suggest that you see those videos, implement it. Those are also interesting projects, so it's a very interesting outcomes. So go check them out if you want to. Now, In this video, what we are doing differently is we are also importing our Google Maps, and we are importing the datetime library, which we will see in action. We just need it for some minor details, and we don't need to authenticate it separately. Like I just mentioned, we have the Drive API and the Gmail API that we built previously. We don't need anything separate for our Google Maps API. All right. So what we do for Google Maps is simply have a variable over here, and Google Maps is a library that we just imported. We create a client using this, and we tell our client that our API key is in the environment file under this variable name. So get that, create our client, store it in this variable. Now this is more than enough for us to make API calls. So I'm using the Python SDK for this. This is why this client has been created in such a manner. If you're using JavaScript or something else, then you will have to follow something slightly different. So here, let's go over to a root agent first. So we have around 4 functions that we have given our agent access to. The first is get directions. This gives us directions between 2 different points on the map. So we will be testing this to get directions between 2 different places in, say, New Delhi. Then we can get distance between those 2 points as well. And I also want to get some interesting places in certain areas of the world. So we can have the get places API for that. And this is a utility function that I will explain it when we see it in action. So let's go over to the get directions API. So what this does is it takes in the origin and the destination. Like you use Google Maps, you put in some origin destination, sorry, some origin location and the destination location, and it gives you the directions between the 2 places, and also a mode. So you can either drive, you can walk, or there's a couple of other modes on Google Maps. So you can specify the mode as well. It will give you the time taken to reach from the origin to the destination accordingly. So that's what we have over here. So this is where we use the datetime library. You already know that Google takes the current time into consideration when it's giving you the directions and the expected time of arrival, right? Because it has to judge traffic patterns smartly. So this is what it's doing. It's taking the current time from us and the rest of the information, and it's giving us the directions. If it does not have the directions, we have a fallback that says no directions found. Otherwise, whatever is the response over here, this is how we basically parse it. And here we simply get the HTML instructions because we want to display it on our web page. We append those HTML instructions in our list and we simply return them. All right, so we just space them out in different lines and we return them. Now, one thing that I noticed while developing this was that this is good enough in itself, but the last line, make sure to convert response to your human readable format. This does help how the response is portrayed on Google's agent development kit. All right, so keep that in mind when you write functions of your own. Next is getting the distance between 2 locations. So first is the origin again, second is the destination. We use this current server time once again because traffic might be less at night, a little greater during sometime during the day when people are out and about. So this is important to get results that are as accurate as possible. So we use the distance matrix function. This is the inbuilt function in the Python SDK. We use that with our mode. All right. So let's just put mode over here instead of driving. And if we don't get a distance, we return no distance found. Otherwise, we parse the response. So if everything's great, we move forward. Otherwise, we return no distance found once again. Lastly, we simply parse again the distance text and the duration text from our response, and we return that in our dictionary. That's all we need to do over here. Lastly, and this took me a while to implement, a lot of digging into documentation was needed over here, but for your sake, I have done it so you can make use of my knowledge. Here, once again, we have the places result, and that simply uses the places nearby option, which takes in the location, a certain keyword, and the radius around that location in which we want our results to be restricted. All right, it's 500 meters by default. So this location, now this is important. This location uses the latitude and the longitude as an input, and that is how it determines the response. This is where I faced a bit of an issue. It wasn't specified very clearly in the documentation. So I've written my prompt over here, get places of interest around a location, and I've specified that this is the latitude and longitude of the input location. So that is what we do, and of course we make sure to convert the response in a readable format. So if we get our results, great. Otherwise, we return no places found. If we do get our results, we parse them and we go over the name of each place and put it in our places names list and return that. The question is, how will a user put the latitude and longitude? Will they go to Google Maps to do it? If they do, then why do they need our app? So I have built a function, get latitude and longitude. That is what it does. So I use the geocode function for it, and I mentioned this earlier as well, the geocode API. That is why we've enabled it. So the geocode function basically gives us the latitude and the longitude. We have a fallback in case we don't get anything in response. Otherwise, we parse it and return the latitude and longitude as such. So that is all the code that I'm going to need in this video for the features that I'm about to demonstrate it to you. So let's start up our server with ADK web. All right, so server should be good. Let's go over to the tab. Refreshed. All right, so let's search for, give me the distance between Connaught Place in New Delhi to Khan Market. You can test this on places of your choice, but the more specific you are, the easier it is for our LLM to figure out what you want. Alright, so it says the distance is 5.4 kilometers. It would take 15 minutes to reach by driving. So I have this open on maps for us. So if I just refresh this, alright, so it says 12 minutes, 13 minutes, 14 minutes, depending on the route. So it gives us a fairly accurate results, and it's 5.4 kilometers over here. Same 5.4 kilometers over here as well. Alright, so we are pretty good here. But what if I want to walk and not drive? Let's see what it gives us. So it will call the get distance function. It will say that via walking, it will take me 4.2 kilometers and it will take me an hour to reach. So is that true? It is true. It will take me an hour to reach. So again, our API is working as expected. But I want some more details now. So give me the directions. Directions from, I'm gonna just copy that to save some time. Let's see how well is this performing. So it calls the right tool and it has given the directions to us fairly accurately from what I can tell. I'm bad at navigation, so maybe this might have some misses, but from the top level view, it looks good to me. All right, so if you know the actual route from Connaught Place to Khan Market, feel free to pause and verify this. So this is good enough. But what if I'm traveling to Khan Market for the first time and I want to know some restaurants near Khan Market? Give me some restaurants in Khan Market, New Delhi. So now notice this. It has called the latitude and longitude function first on its own. I haven't asked it to specify the latitude and longitude. My agent figured that out on its own, fetched the latitude and the longitude, then passed it around to the get places API. So get places function. And on after doing that, it has returned the response. And having been to Khan Market, I can verify that these places do exist at Khan Market. So that gives us a good overview of how the Maps API functions. So in the next video, we will be using this and what we built previously to build something cool. So stay tuned and follow for more.